2018 was a pivotal year for me. My son was almost a year old. From the outside, I looked like I had it together, smiling, doing the mom thing. But inside, I was unraveling. Not in a loud, dramatic way. It was more subtle, a slow-moving fracture that deteriorated my sense of self. I didn't have a full understanding of ego back then, or its connection to self-identity. I thought ego was just arrogance, someone overconfident or cocky, which isn't entirely wrong, but it's incomplete. The egoic mind is far more insidious. It compulsively identifies with form. It latches onto our roles, our accomplishments, our image, and convinces us that we must protect those labels at all costs. And the greatest cost is choosing human over being. Before motherhood, I had a life. I had identity. A college degree, a career, marriage, a house, and disposable income. It all looked pretty shiny. But when we began talking about having kids, something shifted. I didn't think we had to change. I thought I did. And that's how it all started. You're listening to Gracefully Unraveled, a podcast about the honest, soulful, and sometimes edgy journey through motherhood. I'm Kelli Lynch, and every other week I'm exploring how this path reshapes us, not into someone new, but into a deeper awareness of who we are. Through reflection, spiritual wisdom, a little research, and just enough comedy to stay sane, we'll navigate this messy, beautiful unraveling together. Once my son was born and the fog started lifting, I didn't recognize myself. I didn't know that the grief I felt over my freedom, my sleep, my sense of control was normal. I didn't know that admitting how hard mothering felt would feel like failure. There were moments rocking him for the third time that night when I imagined God saying, "You were made for this," and me replying, "Are you sure?" My husband would ask, "Are you okay?" And I'd answer with the classic, "I'm fine." But I wasn't fine. I was tired, I was overwhelmed, and I felt guilty for even thinking about all I had given up, like restaurants, shopping, gardening. My son barely slept more than 2 hours at a time, and the world around me was full of judgment. Sleep train him, let him cry it out. I didn't, and I'm glad I didn't. At 5, he was diagnosed with separation anxiety. That neediness wasn't a flaw. It was part of who he was. Not all babies are the same. Neither are all mothers. The truth is, I had internalized that all of this, the parenting, the emotional labor, the identity shift, was mine to carry. That's not accidental. That's in part cultural. In societies like the US, gender stereotypes are deeply entrenched. They shape us long before we ever become parents. Women grow up absorbing messages that mothering is central to their value, that it's natural, expected, selfless. Research confirms that the maternal sphere begins forming in a girl's early childhood. Our identity as potential mothers is baked in before we even know it. When a woman becomes a mother, she undergoes a profound transformation. She's expected to reorganize her entire identity around this new role. And that's not inherently wrong, but it's rarely supported with grace. Research describes maternal identity as a central formation of the maternal need, a motivational sphere and axiological process. In other words, it's deep. It draws from our biology, our upbringing, and our culture, and it's complicated. Many women experience what some researchers call an identity crisis during this maternal shift, because you're still you. You still carry your prematernal self. But now you're supposed to bury her for the sake of someone else's survival, and sometimes she doesn't go quietly. And that's the tension I lived in, trying to be a good mom while mourning everything I used to be. The loss of self felt like failure, but looking back, it wasn't. It was an invitation. While my eldest son is nearly 11 years old now, it wasn't until a handful of years ago that I started to find hope in the suffering. I started reading again, slowly and often 2 books at a time, because I need to maintain a mix of growth and just for fun. But I read about mindfulness, purpose, spirituality, the Enneagram, anything that could help demystify what I was experiencing and give me the tools to evolve, or unravel gracefully, as I now call it. And as a marketing professional by trade, yes, another identifier, I started to experience the red thread theory coming to life across all the great teachings, a constant theme regarding separation from the ill-defined worldly expectations and the pure consciousness we were born with. So today, the voices in my head are not necessarily louder, they're just easier to spot. I have started recognizing the voices of ego, which is not authentic self, and I have begun to trust that we all carry the divine within us, the spirit of holy consciousness. But to feel it, we have to let go of everything we're not, to dismantle the egoic mind, to unravel. And motherhood, oddly enough, can help us do that. Ramana Maharishi, the Indian sage and spiritual teacher, once said that the ultimate truth is not found through the mind, but by inquiring into the question, who am I? It may sound like a contradiction using the mind to move beyond the mind, but the question is not meant to be answered intellectually. It's not about coming up with a better label or a more polished identity. It's a tool to push awareness inward. The mind asks, but awareness listens. In the book of Exodus, when Moses asks God for his name, God answers simply, I am who I am. Beneath the noise, beneath the ego, beneath every label we cling to, the simple yet divine I am lives. Self-inquiry is the only way home, and that's what we're going to do throughout this podcast. So I'll leave you with this. Beneath the sleep deprivation, carpool, or working mom guilt, can you feel your I am stirring? Thank you for listening to Gracefully Unraveled. I'd love to hear your thoughts. DM me, drop a comment, and be sure to check out my bonus content on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Until next time, keep unraveling.